Hey everyone, in this guide I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step tutorial on how to build a web application that leverages a currency exchange API in order to transform your website's ordinary static price points into dynamic multi-currency ones. Now we're going to start with the basics of currency API integration, and then we will be working our way up to building a fully functional multi-currency checkout system using Node.js. Now, hopefully by the end of this, you will have stuck along with me and built this multi-currency checkout system where you have your products in this checkout and it gives you your total, your shipping, taxes, and whatnot in your selected currency. Now, when you go here and change your currency, it will update in real time with the correct rates using this currency exchange API and present the correct data to the user or the end consumer. Now let's dive into the code and bring this feature to life. First things first, we're going to need a free currency exchange API. To do that, let's head over to APILayer.com, go to their products. Now scroll down and we will be able to find right here, foreign exchange rates and currency conversion JSON API, fix your API. Let's just go ahead and click on that. Now that we're on their website, we can just go ahead and click on get free API key at the top right. You can just select the free plan, that's all we will need. I think these other plans have different added features to them, but for now we're just going to stick with the free one. You just want to fill this out, and when you are done, let's just log in. Now once you're logged in, you will see your API key right there front and center. Make sure you don't show that to anyone. Obviously I'm going to reset it after this video, and also make sure that it is out of your development files and you do not want to upload this to your GitHub. So now that we have our API key, we want to go into our code editor. In this case, I will be using Code. And then we want to open a folder and create a new folder to start our project. Now, a good place to start would be to make our first API request, sort of just understand how this API works and get a sense of what our JSON return data will look like, so that way we can use it for our web application that we build. Now, before we start, make sure you guys have Node.js installed. I will leave a link to this article in the description below. It's a great tutorial on how to download and install Node.js and NPM. And when you are done reading that or following along with it, come back to the video and we'll continue. So now that we're here, let's start by creating a new file and calling it, let's just say first-request.js. Perfect. Now you want to open this file, and in this file, we want to start by declaring our constant fetch, which we will use to call our API endpoint. Now, if you are on Node.js version 18 plus, you can just use the native fetch API instead, but for now we're just going to use this just because it will work for any version, regardless if you're over 18 or below it. Next, we want to declare our access key or our API key. To do this, we want to go to our dashboard, copy this key, and paste it here. Perfect. Now we can make our fetch request. So we are just going to call fetch, and then we want to call our API endpoint. Now to find the API endpoint, we can just go back to our dashboard, click on documentation. Here you'll be able to see a bunch of documentation about, the Fix Your Exchange API and what they offer and what features they have, and also the different responses that you can get. Pretty cool documentation. You can go through that through your own time, but for now, this is what we need right here, our API endpoint. So we're just going to copy this. Then come back in here and we will paste it in here. And let's just format this to our here. I know it's already here, but we are just going to make it dynamic and just have our access key like this. Perfect. And then we want to get a response, and with this response.json, then after doing that, we will get the data, and with that data, with that data, we will console.log our exchange rate data. Console.log JSON.stringify, and we want to stringify the data that we get back from our API endpoint. Now, if data success we're going to console.log our, just do a new line, exchange rates against €1. Now the reason I'm doing €1 is because the base currency that we get on the free plan is euros, so we are going to have to start with euros. Obviously there's a little workaround that I have for it by converting it to USD and then back into any other exchange afterwards, but we will keep that for the web application. So for now we're just going to stick to this, against €1. And then we will console.log our USD, and then we're going to do data.rates.usd, and then console. Actually, we can just do this, and we will do USD, and we can do GBP, and we will do JPY. Just for now. GBP and JPY. Perfect. And then we can do a catch for any errors. Error console.error. And we are going to do error and print out the error. Perfect. Now we can open our terminal, and in our terminal we can just make sure that we have our node fetch installed. In this case I already do, but if you don't, you just want to do this. npm install node fetch, it's added 4 packages. Perfect. And then we want to do node first dash request.js. Oh, reference undefined. Hold on. Console is undefined. Oh, right here. Misspelled console. Alright, there you go. This should work. Perfect. Okay. Now if I expand this a little bit and scroll up, we can see the data that is returned to us with the JSON data. That's what we print up here. We console log when we get that data. So success is true, and then it gives us the exchange rate against €1 into all of these different currencies. And I'm pretty sure there's every single currency here that's listed. So ton of currency, ton of different results. I wondered why it didn't print this. Oh, I spelled success wrong. Okay, silly me. Let's clear this and let's do that one more time, and we should have, there we go, exchange rates against €1. You have the USD, the GBP, and we have the JPY. So now that we got the first initial request down, and you can see how we integrate this request and how to build this request, we can now build something a lot more impressive, something that's resume worthy. So if you're looking for a job in fintech, I got you, don't worry. We're going to build this web app that implements this multi-currency e-commerce checkout and allows users to view and pay for products in their preferred currency, which will give them a drop-down button of. So now that we've completed our first request, and you are now able to see what type of return data we get from JSON and how we implement this API endpoint into our JavaScript file. So now that we've built our first request, and you are now able to see the type of JSON data that we get in return, we can build something a lot more impressive than just this now. So stick along, and we are going to build a web application that has a multi-currency e-commerce checkout system where a user is allowed to view and pay for the products in that checkout in their preferred currency. All right, now to start, we got to set up our server or our backend. And to do that, we need to enter a few things in our command line. first things first, npm init -y. This will initialize our JSON file. And then we want to npm install, and we are going to install node-fetch, which we already did, but we're going to just do it one more time. Express and cores. Let that run and let that install. All right, perfect. Now that those are done, we want to create a new file, and we will call it server.js. To start, let's initialize our constants. So first thing first, we have express. Now we want to initialize our app. All right, so now that we have our constants initialized, we want to enable cores and JSON body parsing. So to do that, we need to do app.use cores, and then app.use express.json. And then we want to serve the static files from our public directory, which we will be creating to store our index.html and our app.js to the backend. So we want to do app.use express.static, and then have our path.join, directory name, public. Now that we've done that, we can declare and start building our endpoints to get the latest exchange rates. So now we are going to build an endpoint to convert our currency. You can do this on the client side, but me personally, I prefer to do it on server side. So I'm just going to build an endpoint that will do the calculations and convert the currency. So this is where we will be setting up our algorithm to handle the conversion from euros, because since the base price for the free version is from euros, we want to be able to convert it out of euros if the price that we get isn't in euros, or to euros if it is from euros, right? So now that we've done that, we can return our results. And now, if there is an error, we want to console log this error. Now we want to serve our main HTML file. To do that, we need to do the following. And now we want to listen to the port. Perfect. Now that we have the backend all set, let's move on to building a user-friendly front end. So to start off, we need to create a subfolder in here called public. And in here, we want to create a new file called index.html. So in this front end, it is basically just going to be a simple e-commerce checkout page. It'll have the products listed. There will be a currency selector, and then that will have our dynamic price updates based on what selected currency is chosen. I will go ahead and code this and speed it up. Just stick along if you can, or slow it down if you want. It's pretty boring HTML stuff. One thing to note, I will be adding Bootstrap to this just for styling purposes. So I will add this Bootstrap link below, or you can just Google Bootstrap link, CSS link, and you'll find it. Now here we want to add our app.js. This is where we are going to be updating and adding to our UI and our index.html. Now to do that, we're going to have to create a new file and call it app.js in the same directory as our index.html file. Now this file is basically in charge of dynamically updating the front end for the change in currencies, and that will use our endpoints in our server file and parse the currency conversion API's JSON data. And so now first, to start off in this file, we are going to need to define our product data and set up some initial variables. And in a real app, this data would essentially just be coming from the database or another API. So now we are going to build a currency formatting function. This essentially will format and convert the amount from USD to our target currency, and then also convert from the source to euros, which is our base currency, to then the target through the API. Sounds a little confusing, but just bear with me. It's only because our base currency is set to euros because we are using the free version. So we need to do a little bit of conversion to euros and conversion back out of euros to get to our target. Now we are going to build our convert amount function, which I stated earlier will be converting the amount from USD to our target currency, and then also converting from the source to euros, which is our base currency, and then back to the new target. Now we want to build an asynchronous function for fetching exchange rates from our back end. Now we want to create a function to render our products that we had listed above or from our database onto our front end. Okay, now that we have our products to autofill from our product list or our list of products, we can now add event listeners to our quantity inputs. So here now we are going to create a function called update prices display, and this is going to update our prices with our new converted prices, and we were going to want to call that in the places where I left the comments after our exchange rates are fetched and also after we have our event listeners. And then here we want to update our carts totals, which is going to be another function. So we just updated our prices display, so for our products, and now we want to update the cart totals. Now we are going to create a function for that.
Okay, now that we have updated our carts, we want to initialize our application now. We're almost there, so we want to do a event listener for our DOM content loaded, and then render our products. So let's do that. And then now we want to fetch our exchange rates. And then we want to set up our currency selector. And add an event listener, so when it is changed, we can now update our prices to display with the new prices from the currency that they have selected. That should be it. So with this code, now that we've built all of it, it is supposed to fetch real-time exchange rates from Fixer's currency conversion API, and then allow the user to switch between different currencies, and that should dynamically update product prices, shipping tax, totals, and everything that we've decided to adjust, and it will provide a better experience for the user. So let's see how this works. So in order to check this, now we want to do node server.js, and then we want to open our local host. And that should give us, okay, nothing for some reason. Now this is where we debug. It says products is not defined. So we have it set to product, not products. Okay, so let's go and fix that. It's all the way at the top here. We have products. Let's just change that to products. Now, when we reopen our local host, it looks like we have another error with this. Says cannot read properties of null, reading append child. Let's click on this product element HTML. Each product. So we have product list is defined by an element by ID product dash list. Okay, now we have to look for where I have the ID product dash list, because it says it's not listed. It's not here. It is not, but oh, okay, so right here I left a comment as well. This is where I'm supposed to render my products. So let's just add a div here, and then give it the ID equals product dash list. Okay, now we just want to save that, and let's make sure everything else is okay with these files, just in case. And oh, okay, look right here as well. There's a period there I did not mean to put. So let's just remove that, and okay, that should work. Let's check it out now. Okay, so here we go. So as you can see, here is our product. Unexpected token. Okay, so it seems like our quantity is not showing. Let's go check out our minimum quantity that we set. Minimum quantity, okay. Here we go. I forgot to add the second quotes. So now, third time's a charm, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. And third time was not a charm. Alright, let's check this out. Let's see what else there is. Let's see. Okay, right here, this should be cart item, not item.quantity. Cart item quantity, and then to make sure everything else matches up. Right here, product ID, lowercase. Okay, save that. Just a few things to look for. GPB, this is GBP, not GPB. Great Britain pound. See what else fits. Okay, right here, card text. Missing a quotes. Okay, another thing right here, I put a input group dash text. This should just be input group, and that will make it look a little bit better. Okay, so it gives us the right exchange rate, so at least we know our API endpoint is working, but our quantity doesn't seem to want to update here. Let's see if our euros change. Okay, so let me see what I can find with this quantity not wanting to be. That would be because I am missing a quote right. That's why doing inner HTMLs is very hard in JavaScript. You need to be very, very careful to do so. Okay, there's also this thing. I put quantity. Here we go. Now this should work. And it looks like it does. So now we have finished, and we have our product item here. Now this essentially will be pulled from your database. I just have this sample product here as a list selected all the way top here. As you can see, I have a little list that I put some sample data in. Obviously I can make a list of a whole lot more, which I will do after the video, but this is just to show you that this will be pulled from the database and it will be presented on the screen here. And when the quantity is changed, so is the subtotal, price, tax, everything adjusts with the input. Now we can change the currency. Let's see what this does. So USD 599, euros 549, Canadian 863, Australian, I'm reading the subtotal by the way, 947. So as we can see, our currency exchange is working as we want it to. Especially even on the product name, it changes as well. Or the product card, we can see everything works as we want it to. So now you have everything covered, and you know everything you need to build a currency conversion feature inside of your web application using Fixer's API or currency conversion API. And honestly, we've covered, making basic API calls to, creating a full-fledged e-commerce checkout that has multi-currency conversions. And, the applications for this are endless, right? You have e-commerce sites that serve global customers that you can implement this into. You have travel apps that you need to show prices for local currencies, financial dashboards with real-time conversion rates, and it just goes on, right? So remember, while the free tier is great, we still had to implement an algorithm to change the base price back and forth to get our current conversions that we wanted in our desired prices. So sometimes using their upgraded plan may benefit you depending on what type of production use you need to use this for. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm glad you guys stuck around with me through all of those errors that I had to fix near the end. Just, sometimes it's very hard doing it straight from the eye and not needing any help, but I'm trying to do my best for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will leave all the resources down in the description below. So thank you guys so much, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.